let's talk about something. Let's talk about stimulus checks that we may or may not get. The politics are over with, so who's going to come through and keep their word? And how about the COVID-19? Oh, I've got a lot to say about COVID-19 and people that don't want to follow the rules, the things that really work, like wearing a mask. I've got churches now that are going back to not even distancing. No wearing masks, sit close together. You can die together like that. Did you know that? Let's be honest with each other. The ones that think they're so brave, they're not brave at all. They're just hard-headed. They don't want anybody to tell them what to do. And before it's over with, they're even going to say they don't want to do what God tells them to do also. So, folks, we need to take a look at what's going on in our country, in our world. It's been prophesied that these things were going to happen. And I can tell you, I didn't think it was going to be like this either. I have been a practicing, searching for a Christian since 1956, when I was first baptized. And I didn't stay in the church because I was young, too young, didn't know what I was getting into because the church only wanted numbers. They only wanted money. And nothing has changed in all churches. Oh, I know. You're going to say, well, my church don't do that. Don't look too close. Yes, they do. Folks, the end of time is coming. It's not just the end of a presidential team and a new one moving in. I'm telling you that this world is coming apart. Social media has caused a lot of it. And yes, I'm using it, hopefully, that I can get to talk some sense into somebody. Now, I've been making a horrible mistake. I've been saying this is not for kids. And when I do that, it means you can't talk back to me or reply. Well, this one is unlisted, and I'd like to hear from you. Please, I want to hear your ideas as bad as I want to give you mine. And my ideas are not always right. I'm going to tell you, for my long life of 77 years, and since 1956, I went wrong, I come back, and I went wrong, I come back. And a lot of you have done the same thing. But God was teaching me a lesson all along. In 1975, I got my education finished. And I joined a church organization that I cannot find any better one, but one that tells it like it is and names names. And if I find something that's better, I will follow them because I don't want to be lost. John 17:3 tells us about everlasting life, and that's what God has to give us. John 17:3 goes like this, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the one true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. Now, my friends, that should let us know that God has something to give us that's better than what the politicians and what this old wicked world has for us. But we have to go through trials and tribulations. I inherited my mom and dads and uncles and aunts and grandfathers and great grandmothers, their tendencies. And the hardest thing that I have found, two hard things that I found hard to get over, is not lose my temper. Jesus said it best. He said, you can be angry, but don't sin. In other words, you can be angry, but don't act on your anger. Jesus didn't. Now, Jesus will, though. God the Father will get tired of this. He says he's a jealous God in the commandments. He said he's a jealous God because he loves you. And yes, he allows you to go through trials and tribulations. I had a heart attack back February 28th, 2018. I'd been on a great diet. shouldn't have had any plaque in my arteries, but the doctor came to me and said, I don't think I can save you. I can't do a stent. We would tear and you would bleed out before we could get to you, inside you, in other words. He said, the only thing we can try is a bypass, but I don't think you'll make it off the table. So I told the surgeon, I said, well, tell me something. You're going to put me to sleep, so I'm not going to feel any of this, am I? He said, yes, yes. I said, so if I die while I'm on your table, I don't have to go through the pains of death, do I? He said, what are you talking about? I said, the Bible tells me that the dead know not anything. Oh, where'd you get that from? He said, I got it right out of the Bible. And if you're interested, I'll give you the text. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5. It says, the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Wow, that's pretty plain, isn't it? It's plainer than your preacher's telling you that when you die, you just like go through another room and you're going to go to heaven and you're going to get to look down on your relatives. I don't want my mom and dad in heaven looking down on me. That would be horrible. Do you really want your mom and dad to see what you're doing? You see, God has a better plan. You die, you rest in the grave, or you've been cremated, or you've eaten up by a big fish. God can bring you back to life if you want to follow him all the way. So you see, the world is telling you a lie. It's the same lie that Satan told Eve in the Garden of Eden. He said, has God said you can't eat of all the trees in the garden? And she said, oh yeah, we can eat for all the trees in the garden, but not this one. And so the devil said, why? And she said, well, he said, we could eat of all the trees, but don't even touch the fruit of that tree. And he said, why? Because if we do that, we'll begin to die. We'll die. And he said, here's the lie, quoting Satan, that serpent, you shall not surely die. And God said, oh, yes, you will. God doesn't tell lies. He doesn't play games. The only thing he does is he allows you and me to learn from our mistakes. So don't make the mistake that most preachers are going to sell you, that when you die, you really don't die. Yes, you do. Love you. Reply. Let's see if you can. Amen? All right, here we go.